Well, hello again. Now, as you can probably tell, the backdrop here tonight isn't the Emirates Stadium. Now, I did say to myself I probably wasn't going to do these videos unless I was actually at the game, but here I am. So let's see how it goes, see if it works. Yeah, and the reason I'm not there, I'm down at Leeds, West Ham, covering that tomorrow night. And amid the train strikes, having lived in London, I did vow to myself never to drive to or from the capital ever again. And in the 8 years I've been back up in the northeast, that is a promise to myself, to which I have stuck, and I'm not about to change it now. So, but yeah, those of you who did go down to London, did make the effort from a Newcastle perspective, well, yeah, it was well worth it, wasn't it? And another quite fantastic 0-0 draw that continues the unbeaten run, makes it still only one defeat this season. And the asterisk next to that defeat was that it was the 98th minute at Liverpool. So some supporters of Newcastle would probably argue Newcastle are morally undefeated this year. And the quite incredible run goes on, and seemingly unstoppable Arsenal have been stopped. And it's no surprise that it was Eddie Howe's Newcastle who managed to do it. Now, before we go any further, I've just tweeted something saying, the collective never falters under Eddie Howe in 6 consecutive clean sheets. It's quite an incredible effort. To which one user did reply that Eddie is simply building on the foundations laid by Steve Bruce. Now listen, I've got 3 kids asleep upstairs. The laughter following that tweet, it's going to risk waking them up. But yeah, but anyway, no, it was very funny. And to reflect on the game, now it didn't start very well for Newcastle at all, did it? And I think that was because we spoke to Eddie in the pre-match press conference, and he vowed to go on the attack. He said it's no good starting games with a view to setting up defensively for 90 minutes. Now, I think Newcastle did start with the best intentions, but very quickly realised after 5 minutes that was going to leave them exposed. And it was a miracle they got to, I think, the 7th minute without Arsenal scoring. But what I will say, and this is huge credit to Newcastle, they don't need to go a goal down or 2 goals down as previous versions of Newcastle did to change tack, to change strategy. They did it either through instruction from Eddie or realising amongst themselves that how they'd set up to start the game probably wasn't going to work. And they were adaptable, and they did change it. And, come half time, for all Arsenal started well, the final 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the first half were fairly even. And come the break, really, it was, if Joe Linton hadn't morphed into the Joe Linton of old and missed that header from a few yards out right on the stroke of half time, Newcastle probably would have gone ahead, and nobody could have grumbled with that. Now, in the second half, Newcastle didn't offer a great deal by way of attacking threat, but at the same time, they limited Nick Pope to only really one, you would say, really impressive save, and that was from Eddie Nketiah. Now, Newcastle, from an attacking perspective, and I suppose this is a slight criticism, it was the same against Leeds on Saturday. Now, the majority of Newcastle's openings, certainly during the first hour on Saturday against Leeds, came from set pieces. And again tonight, if they were going to score, they had had corners, they had free kicks. Now, for a team who've been so inventive from set pieces all season, I just think in the last 2, they've become a little bit predictable. And now listen, when you've got someone who delivers the ball as well as Kieran Trippier, perhaps you just say you put it in there. But I just think they've failed to vary their dead ball delivery and routines during the last 2 matches. And when set pieces were probably going to be their best avenue, their best route to claiming victory against either Arsenal tonight or Leeds on Saturday, I thought I was just a little bit disappointed there was a lack of ingenuity there. But that is in the final third, and that is no criticism of coming away from Arsenal with a point. And what they have got at the back and what they have built at the back now, that club record equaling 6 clean sheets in a row, is quite incredible. As the Twitter user said, just building on the good work of Steve Bruce. Yeah, but and it really is it's the foundation of their success this season, the best defensive record in the Premier League. And we always come back to that one man as much as it is a collective. Sven Botman again tonight, I thought in the first 5 minutes, this could be a bit of a run around for Botman. And it was early on, but wow, did he grow into the game. And as long as he is there in the heart of that back line, you never really think that Newcastle are going to concede a goal, let alone lose a game. And sure enough, that is another unbeaten match in which Sven Botman has played, and he is yet to emerge on the losing team. Now elsewhere, I didn't think it was Newcastle's best performance in terms of what they did with the ball, and I think a lot of that comes back to the midfield 3 of Joe Willock, Sean Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes. Now they've started 3 games, I think, isn't it, in 2 weeks? Yeah, sorry, 4 games in 2 weeks now, and they just looked a little bit leggy there tonight. I thought, Bruno in particular at times is just missing that spark that we'd seen earlier in the season and towards the back end of last year, and that's on the back of being away with Brazil, really, for the best part of 4 weeks. He hasn't really had a break. He come pretty much straight back in at Newcastle, and he looks like maybe someone who could do with a little bit of a rest. Yeah, he's just lost a little bit of zip about him, hasn't he at the moment? But you just can't fault where they're at right now, and that point safeguards their position in the top three, because Manchester United won tonight. So I thought something else that was very interesting tonight, listening to Dan Burns' post-match interview. Now, he spoke with a real intelligence and a real depth about tactics, and this went into the preparation that they went into, and he spoke with a knowledge of Zinchenko, coming in field and slotting into that inverted midfield position from a fullback berth. Now, for a player to be aware of that, I think you're only aware of that if you're given that knowledge by your manager in the build-up of the game. And Dan Burn used the phrase, we're going to converge on the ball, we're going to converge on the wingers in packs of 2s and 3s, and that's exactly what it is. And I just thought it was a tremendous example of a player, laying bare the preparation and the meticulous approach of Eddie Howe and his coaching staff, really. And Newcastle United was so prepared for that game, and so prepared to adapt and to do what they had to do to get a result. And it's just, tremendous credit to them. And this wonderful bandwagon of theirs rolls on. Now another Twitter user did come back at me and say, Leeds were criticised for a similar type of approach on Saturday. Well, they weren't criticised from me. If you read my reports or listen to my reflections on here, I thought what Leeds did to garner a point was totally fair enough at St James's Park, and I thought they deserved credit for that. Now, Newcastle United tonight, I don't think it was as... I don't think they rode their luck as much as Leeds on Saturday, I will say that, but they did start to employ one or two dark arts, and Jason Tindall at one point morphed into Tyler Adams, didn't he, kicking the ball away there? But, that is what you've got to do, and we saw Rafa Benitez teams, Newcastle's teams under Rafa previously do it often enough, and I know they were criticised at times as well from certain people in the Sky studio. I would never criticise them for that. I wouldn't criticise Newcastle tonight. I wouldn't criticise Leeds on Saturday. I think you've got to do what you've got to do to get points for your team, and what a good point it was for Newcastle as well. And that's just about it really in terms of my reflections. A couple of sort of newsy items to clear up. Now, I think tonight, as I've touched on already, highlighted the need for central midfield reinforcements. At one point, I think all three of them were getting treatment there towards the end, certainly Sean Longstaff and Joe Willock. So what happens if one of those goes off? And does Joe Linton come back into the midfield and St Max starts on the left? Well, I know there's some supporters calling for that, for one of the midfield three to be taken out and St Max to start. But now, I would agree with that against Leeds on Saturday. I thought on reflection, perhaps St Max, the team would have been better off with him on from the start, the way the game panned out and they had Leeds pinned in. I don't think tonight that would have been the right tactic, and I think Eddie got it absolutely spot on, as was proven by the result. But I think going forward, that is a fair debate to have, and it could be a case of horses for courses. Matches at Newcastle are expected to go and win. Does Maxi come back into the team and Joe Linton drop again to midfield? But in terms of that search for a midfielder, now, I think there's a lot of noise about Alan Valera at Boca Juniors, wasn't there, a couple of days ago now. Now, what I have been told is that a bid, as of then, hadn't gone in. I was told that wasn't true. The reports from Boca that a bid hadn't, reports from Argentina, a bid hadn't gone in for the Boca Juniors midfielder. Now, whether one has subsequently gone in or whether one is going in tonight or whether there's even interest, I don't know. I was just told that those reports that a bid had gone in weren't true. Now, Yuri Tillemans is the name, we've spoken about here before, continues to be linked. One name I don't expect him to go for this month is James Maddison. I think I've said this before, in Noises Again, I heard here tonight, that I just don't think a deal is viable. I don't think that is the market Newcastle are in at the moment, to pay an absolute premium for a player as Leicester would demand. So, I think Eddie's just said in his post-match interview that nothing is imminent transfer-wise, and that's certainly the message that we're getting back at the moment. Now, I will have I've picked up another bit of transfer news tonight, which I will concern the Newcastle, which I will hopefully get stood up in the morning, and we'll bring you at some point tomorrow on the Mail Online and in Daily Mail. Another little bit of news to clear up, which I think I tweeted out last night. Ben Dawson, his first team coach, has moved down into 21s. I think he took training yesterday, he took training today. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Dawson stayed in that 21s role, vacated by Elliot Dickman. Perhaps until the end of the season, we'll have to wait and see on that one before a permanent appointment is made. But yeah, plenty going on at the moment with Newcastle. Very busy on and off the field. And I'll be down at Leeds West Ham tomorrow night. I'm going to bring you a quick video after that. You know, always interested in checking in on how the rest of the Premier League is doing, and I do cover a lot of Leeds. One player I'm really interested to see tomorrow night is Lucas Paqueta, because I've just got the suspicion that Newcastle were perhaps right in, not that they pulled away from a deal, but I think they certainly could have made a deal happen for him back in the summer before he went to West Ham, and they chose not to. And I think, having seen what I have of him at West Ham, it was probably a prudent choice. So yeah, I'll bring you my verdict on him tomorrow night. And yeah, keep on reading the Daily Mail. Click below to subscribe, all the rest of it. And yeah, click on that link below to read Sammy's match report from tonight's game. Thanks again for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll be down at Sheffield on Saturday as well. So lots more to come in the next few days. Bye-bye.